Good morning. We're very fortunate to have with us this morning Dr. Wally Rhines, CEO of Mentor Graphics. Wally, thank you for being here.
I'm very glad to be here.
How do you define diversity?
Diversity means differences. For beings, there's biodiversity, but the one we're most interested in is the set of differences, the racial, cultural, gender, sexual preference, anything that makes us different from one another. And the opposite is homogeneity. There are societies that have grown up being relatively homogeneous, and so you can see some of the differences of what happens in diversity versus homogeneity.
How would you define inclusion?
Well, inclusion is the ability to take advantage of diversity. It doesn't do you any good to have a diverse group of people with unique skills, perspectives, experience, other things, if you're only focusing on a subset of that group. So inclusion is the art of involvement for all those who are part of a team and getting the best out of everyone, and frequently helping those who think they already know the answer to broaden their horizons.
Do you feel diversity and inclusion are important to the performance of an organization, and if so, why?
I think it's very important. I think it's the source of a very large share of the most innovative products, ideas, and technologies that the world has developed. And it's because the linear thinking tends to occur with a group of people who have common culture, experiences, and backgrounds. And when you bring in people who may be uncomfortable to deal with, that start challenging your thoughts, that's when innovation occurs. That's when new ideas emerge. That's when everyone starts working together. And that's the way industry works. We work in teams. We bring together diverse groups. Sometimes in my own company, we will intentionally take a top person from one field and put that person in a different group just because it shakes everything up and new ideas emerge.
How much progress has been made in creating workplaces that are diverse and inclusive over the course of your career?
Well, mine's a long career. So yeah, a lot of progress, a long way to go. But when I started as a young engineer, engineering was a field for white males. And there just weren't women in engineering. There weren't many black or Hispanic engineers. And engineers were notorious for not being very sociable animals anyway. So they grouped together, and that's all changed. Now you would never see a group of white males taking on an engineering task today. You wouldn't see a graduating class that was predominantly that way, although we still do have a challenge in that males still worldwide have a dramatically higher number in engineering than females, for example. But all of that part evolved. People became very comfortable with it. And the same thing's true employment, the way we hire people, the way we promote people, the way we evaluate them. All of that is a very different world today from what existed in the 1970s when I started out.
What do you think are the greatest impediments to fostering an environment of diversity and inclusion in the workplace today?
Well, diversity is uncomfortable for everyone. You've grown up trying to be at ease, and that means mostly being around people like yourself. And when you managed a business and you thought about who to depend upon, who to promote, you had most confidence with someone that had similar background. So you have to step out of your comfort zone, and that's a big impediment. There's an impediment just in terms of availability of skills that match the job. It's very difficult, actually, for us in business today to find a diverse set of qualified engineers from universities or in the industry. And when we do, let me tell you, there is a lot of competition. It's an impediment to bringing together the best team. And there are impediments like immigration laws, getting H-1B visas to bring people from all over the world together. And we end up doing a lot of our development outside the U.S. for exactly that reason.
What's the key to cultivating an inclusive environment at all levels of an organization, not just in pockets or in particular areas of leadership?
Well, tone at the top is where it starts. So you have to walk the talk. So if people believe that the management is just saying things to fulfill the obligation to say, then they'll behave accordingly. So starting there, we purposely get out and communicate with people who actually do the work in our companies. You go sit at a random table in the cafeteria, try to find out what's going on. Do things that when you spot problems, you can do something about them. And I think as people become aware that a group is not being inclusive, they're not taking advantage of the diverse set of resources they've got, if they don't recognize it, then the management needs to make them aware of it and needs to do it fairly forcefully.
Are there specific programs that an organization can adopt to foster diversity?
Sure. One place to start is in creating the pool of people that you can draw upon in the future. So we have rewards and all various ways of working with the STEM programs to try to bring a set of people into science and engineering that will become fascinated with it and will have it as careers. We encourage our own people to participate in mentoring, and we have internship programs, and we very purposely make the internship programs a way to bring in people that may not be from the same universities where people feel comfortable with them, or they may not be, in fact they probably aren't the same race or gender or whatever. And when you work with someone as a junior in college and you find out just how much they can achieve, we have a very high percentage of those that we give job offers to, and we have a very high acceptance rate for those people because they're comfortable with the company and the environment.
You've talked a little bit about how leadership can help to foster inclusion. Are there specific programs that can build on the diversity and then create a culture that's inclusive?
Yes, I think we all need training. One thing that we've done, I know a lot of other companies have done, is train people in how to conduct meetings. If you sit at a meeting and you look at who's dominating the conversation, who's being called upon, how the ideas and decisions are evolving, you frequently find that it's not the entire group. It's people are either being ignored or just not given an opportunity to participate, and that's the leader's responsibility. And so having some training in how do you conduct those meetings, and how do you make sure you're getting the best out of the group. And we have other programs. Right from the founding of our company, we've had a child development center that has won national awards. Working Mothers Magazine has given us a top 10 award at least 10 different years. And it's not that difficult. We hired a world-class person, and so everyone wants their children in the child development center. But all of a sudden now there are women who would have had to take a leave of absence for an extended period, or maybe leave work that work for us. Our turnover for employees who have children in the Child Development Center is virtually zero. They do not leave while their children are in that program.
That's fantastic. Are there other ways a leader can minimize prejudice in decision making?
Well, one way is to watch for it and stamp it out if you see it occurring. You can look for signals. If you have high turnover among particular groups, women, minorities, gay, lesbian, whatever, then there's probably a root cause there if it's statistically higher than your average turnover. When you see a group that is sort of replicating itself again and again, you can simply not make requisitions available for certain types of hires. And that's more than just racial or gender. Mm-hmm. We have, for example, we sometimes make a requisition available only for a particular site around the world because we're having trouble getting people to understand the resources we have in other countries that can be very valuable. And once they do it one time, we don't have a problem. So we have tremendous talent in Egypt, Pakistan, Poland, North Africa, and these people have come from the very top of their classes because there's less opportunity for them. And once our managers, wherever they are in the world, get some of these people in their group, they'll never go back. I mean, these are the cream of the crop, and they're more stable. They don't leave for the next job as quickly as someone in the San Francisco Bay Area would.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. What skills will the next generation of leaders need in order to build a climate of inclusion in their workplaces?
Well, this next generation that's coming up now deals with much flatter organizations than the hierarchical approach that existed when I began. And so you now have the problem of a lot of independent people working in a flat organization where they communicate a lot by computer, but they may not communicate very much person to person. So that's a different kind of challenge than we used to have. We have the challenge of internationalism. Being able to bring together groups that may be dispersed around the world, being able to deal with employees who may not speak very good English, and while English may be the lingua franca for the world, I can tell you if you only hire people who speak good English, you are not going to have a world-class group. So you need to both help those employees learn to improve their language skills, or you need to learn other language skills, or you need to learn how you can communicate effectively and take advantage of those resources. And those are challenges that didn't exist very much 20 years ago, and they're now part of a productive, innovative team today.
Obviously, we want our graduates to be those leaders of the next decade that will create those kinds of workplaces. What experiences can we give our students so that they'll have those skills upon graduation?
I'd say have problem solving with multicultural groups, multiracial groups, diverse groups. Teach people to work together by giving them a challenging problem that requires them to capitalize upon the skills of the group. Teach people or teach students how to deal with other cultures, what the differences are, what you have to deal with. Teach them foreign languages. Teach them about the entire world of innovation and opportunity that goes far beyond what we can do in the U.S. or in a local region. And I think as you experience working with people of all different cultures and backgrounds and skills, you develop an appreciation that's one of the tools in your toolbox when you go to work and as you rise up in the organization that you'll draw upon in order to have a winning group.
Fast forward to 2040. Our successors are having this conversation. What do you think they would say about the state of inclusion in that era and their experiences over their careers?
Well, I'd like to say that it won't be an issue anymore, because after all, the minority of today will be the majority in 2040. But I don't actually think we'll be through it quite at that point yet. The reason I say that is the leaders, the people who will be really hitting their stride and becoming the influential people in industry in 2040 are just starting college today. And you can just look at what's the ratio of engineering to other disciplines for various groups of people, women, minorities? Are they, in fact, choosing engineering in the same kind of proportion that they choose other skills? And the answer is not yet. So I think by the time you get to 2040, there'll be still many of the challenges. But the good news is I think all of the prejudices and the barriers that many of us grew up with will just not be something people even think about anymore. They'll be thinking much more about, oh my gosh, how do I get more of the critical skills I need? And it'll still be a challenge then, just as it is today.
Terrific insights, Wally. Thank you so much for being here to share them with us today.
Thank you, Cami.